Hello, 7th and 8th grade general art students. Welcome to lesson 1 entitled Visual Self-Portrait. All of the details to this lesson can be found in your 7th and 8th grade general art Google Classroom under lesson 1. There you will find assignment details. You will find a Google slide that gives you all of the terminology, also shows imagery and step-by-step instructions, as well as the grading criteria, which is essential for you to understand for this project. Also, under lesson 1, you will find a set of videos giving you step-by-step instructions to complete this project. Please make sure you reference all of those materials under lesson 1 to help you be most successful. All right, so the objective of this lesson, the whole purpose of this lesson, is for you to understand what a self-portrait is. And then you are going to be not creating an accurate self-portrait of yourself, but more of a visual imagery self-portrait. So you're gonna be taking a quiz about you. It's really about you, so you should know all the answers to the quiz. So you're gonna be taking a quiz about you just to help you make a list of all of your favorite things, things that you're interested in, your hobbies. This is what's gonna help you decide what imagery you might wanna use in your visual self-portrait. So objectives are to understand the difference between a self-portrait and a portrait, as well as a visual self-portrait. You're also going to be learning about composition, balance, and focal point. Those are your key terms. You will also find a unit study guide listed under important resources in your Google Classroom. You are going to want to fill that out. In that unit study guide for Unit 1, it'll list all of the projects that we're going to be doing. This is Project 1, and then you'll want to fill in all of those terms and definitions. So in this lesson, like I said, we're going to be learning about composition, balance, and focal point. You're going to understand what makes interesting composition. In this lesson, you're also going to be learning about sketching, why it's important to sketch, and how to properly sketch as we are preparing for an artwork. So those are some of the objectives in this lesson. Please follow along. Like I said, there's going to be a couple videos to this, just giving you step-by-step instructions. So feel free to pause at any time, and also feel free to contact me with any additional questions that you may have. All the materials are listed in your Google Classroom under Lesson 1 for this assignment. But you will need some scrap paper to take that quiz and also to practice sketching some visual imagery. And then for your actual artwork, you'll just need a clean sheet of 8.5 by 11, or if you have a sketchbook paper would be great for this project. You also need a pencil, an eraser, Sharpie marker black, and then to add color, we're going to be using colored pencil or watercolor colored pencil if you have it, and marker. If you don't have colored pencil, crayon would be acceptable, but colored pencil is best. You'll also definitely want some markers. So those are the materials that you will need for this lesson. All right, follow along. I look forward to seeing all of your visual self-portraits and learning about you and some of your favorite things, and have fun. Step 1 of this project is to review the Google slide for Visual Self-Portrait Lesson 1. In that Google slide, you will find a quiz about yourself. So get a piece of scrap paper or notebook paper and answer the questions to help you form a list of words that reflect your interests and personality. Once you've completed that list, then you are going to practice drawing those words. So you're just using a scrap piece of paper to sketch out some imagery, those words from your list of images that reflect you. Once you have practiced drawing some of the images you want to incorporate into your visual self-portrait, you're ready to begin creating your final artwork for this lesson 1. You will need a white 8.5 by 11 piece of drawing paper, or sketchbook paper is fine. The first step to this is you want to incorporate your initials. You have freedom to incorporate whatever imagery you would like, of course, as long as it's school appropriate, imagery that reflects you. But you have to, one requirement is it has to have your initials done in block letters. So step one is to take your 3 initials to your name, your first name, middle name, and last name, and draw those letters large, filling the space in block lettering. Now you can be creative with your type of block or bubble lettering. If you want to add some flames to them or make them spiky, you can be creative with your design of block lettering, or you can just keep it simple as I've done here. So step one is to sketch your initials large, filling your paper. This project works best if you keep your paper horizontal. I really don't recommend you attempting to do this artwork with your paper going vertical. Once you have your initials sketched lightly, and remember the whole time while doing this artwork until you've finalized all of your imagery, you are sketching. Sketching is drawing lightly. The reason you want to sketch is so that you can easily erase and make changes. When adding your imagery, you need to think about creating an interesting composition. So be sure to reference the Google slide for lesson 1 on composition. You are looking to create something interesting. We don't want all of your imagery to be the same size, not touching, just floating in space. We want your imagery to be in varying sizes. We want your imagery to overlap at some places. So think about varying sizes, overlapping, things going in different angles. So when you are overlapping, in particular with your initials or another image, you'll have to do some erasing. So that's, again, another reason why you want to be sure to sketch. And you want to incorporate as many images from that quiz that you took. So you should have a large list of words, and you want to incorporate images that reflect those words as much as possible. So I'm from Kansas, so I incorporated a sunflower reflective of Kansas, and I went to KU, so I actually wrote KU. I'm okay if you want to incorporate 1 or maybe 2 words, but the majority of this project needs to be imagery. That's the whole purpose, or one of the objectives, is to reflect yourself using imagery. I lived in Japan for 2 years, so you can see here now I'm drawing a bowl of ramen noodles, and on the front of the bowl I'm going to put the Japan flag. Notice that my bowl of ramen is smaller than my sunflower, so we want things in varying sizes. My sunflower is also overlapping with my S. So be sure that you're being creative, that you're incorporating as many images that reflect you as possible. We don't want dead space. We want to think about balance. If I've got a large object, I've got my large sunflower with the KU on the left side, so I need something to balance that out on the right side. So now I'm drawing a large sun and ocean because I love sunsets and I love the beach. So also think about balance. We don't want all the big things to be on one side of your paper and then a bunch of little small things on the other side of your paper. So we're also considering balance during this process. And again, in the Google slide, we talk about different types of balance. Remember, you are trying to fill the space of your paper with as much imagery as possible, both inside your initials and outside your initials. You can see now I've kind of got a big empty space in the middle. I've got some imagery sort of floating around at the whole edges. So I love ice cream, so I'm putting a really big ice cream cone going at an angle, overlapping with my paintbrush and overlapping with my D and my L. So it's okay for your images to touch and overlap. Be creative with this and just, again, try to fill as much of the space with imagery as possible. It's going to be a far more successful, far more interesting composition in the end. Step 1 to lesson 1 visual self-portrait will be complete when you have sketched your initials large and in block letters and filled your paper with as much imagery, visual imagery, that reflects you Once you're satisfied, then you're going to move on to step 2. Be sure to watch that video on how to add color, step 2.